Klein.
Madam Speaker, I am honored to rise in response to the speech from the throne, representing the beautiful and bustling constituency of Calgary-Klein. I'd like to start first by acknowledging that the legislature is located on the traditional lands of the Treaty 6 signatories. This includes the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, and Nakota Sioux, as well as the Métis people who share a deep and lasting connection with these lands. The constituency of Calgary-Klein itself is located on the traditional lands of the Treaty 7 signatories, the Blackfoot Confederacy. So that includes Siksika, Piikani, and Kainai First Nations, Tsuut'ina and the Iyakse Nakota First Nations, comprised of the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Goodstoney First Nations, as well as the Métis people of District 6. Acknowledging the land on whose land we reside is important to me as the daughter of Salvadoran immigrants with ancestral roots in Central America. I am part of a diaspora, and I know well how I came to be here, and that by virtue of being here, I am a treaty person, as we all are. I am thankful to the residents of Calgary-Klein for entrusting me with the honor of representing them in this legislature, to bring their concerns forward, to celebrate their joys, to actively listen, and to hold this government to account on issues of priority for them. The affordability crisis, access to public health care when they need it, reducing class sizes and investing in public education, addressing climate change, and of course, their retirement security. While the constituency boundaries of Calgary-Klein as we know it were re-established in 2019, it has gone through several iterations since 1905, both in communities represented and political representation, including the NDP, UCP, PCs, Liberals, and Social Credit. In recent memory, some of the notable MLAs that have represented the communities I now represent are, of course, one of the great community builders, Bob Hawksworth, Yvonne Fritz, the recently departed Mo Amory, may he rest in peace, Kyle Fawcett, fellow NDPer Craig Coulihan, and most recently, Jeremy Nixon. I thank them all for their service to community. For many decades, Calgary-Klein has been representative of our city and province. We have a wide range of income levels, families that have lived here for generations, and new Canadians from all over the globe. My constituents speak many languages: English, French, Mandarin, Punjabi. I was greeted warmly in Radisson and Albert Park by Amharic and Tigrinya, Tagalog, Arabic, and as I noted on the doors, some Spanish as well. I'm very fortunate to represent a community with dozens of cultural organizations and places of worship. It has been wonderful to connect with them all, and I will continue to. Calgary-Klein is also home to an incredible array of community-serving organizations like Action Dignity, Calgary Scope Society, Calgary Deaf and Hear, the Alex Community Health Centre, Calgary Centre for Newcomers, the Veterans Food Bank of Calgary, Families Matter, the Calgary Drop-In Centre, and Momentum, to name just a few. The impact these organizations have on our community cannot be overstated. In the last few months, I've learned so much about the good work they do to provide a sense of belonging, basic needs support, employment training, and resources. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the beauty of our natural spaces, including beautiful Confederation Park, which is home to barbecues in the summer and weddings as well, and then a very wonderful light display in the winter. As some of my other colleagues have mentioned, Nose Hill. We do border on Nose Hill, so we get a lovely view of Nose Hill, and of course that features the Siksika Sitapi medicine wheel and many more beautiful green spaces in Calgary-Klein. Our community associations are active and organize events like the Crossroads Harvest Festival, the Highwood Hoedown, Highland Parks Music in the Park, North Haven's Community Garden and Mural Project, the Trywood Farmers Market, the Tango 2 Echo Festival put on by the Greenview BIA, and the Winston Heights Annual Community Cleanup. I'm grateful and proud of the work they do to connect neighbors old and new. Calgary-Klein is also home to many exciting small businesses who are thriving and contribute to our strong local economy. I owe a debt of gratitude as well to the many people who helped get me here prior to and during the election. Fred Rogers quoted his mother as saying, "Always look for the helpers. There are always helpers." and I was blessed to find many of those helpers. I was joined by teachers, social workers, parents, community leaders, healthcare workers, folks from all walks of life who devoted their time and energy with the hope of a better future for our province. I was supported by my loving partner, my mother, my aunt, my sister, and my 2 teen daughters who gleefully and sometimes not so gleefully join me in some of the work that we do. The future that I dream of for them is the same future that I want for all the youth of this province. I want them to feel free to be who they are, to feel loved, to be accepted, to set roots here, and to stay. My path to this place is somewhat unconventional, but also relatable to a lot of first and second generation Canadians. My parents are Salvadoran immigrants. They left before a 13-year civil war would ravage their homeland and acted as scouts, guiding the rest of my family here to safety, to a place where their human rights were protected, where they could access public education and public health care, and build a bright and peaceful future. In my early life, we could be counted among the vulnerable. We struggled in poverty, moving often to wherever was affordable and often not for very long, or not with enough bedrooms. But as a result, I went to 10 schools from kindergarten to grade 12. I worked for a tiered minimum wage at ages 16 and 17 to help pay our bills. Our life was an affordability crisis, but we persevered. Looking back, I can say things like, it made us stronger, it made us more resilient. And that is true, but in recent conversations with my sister, who is an amazing and skilled nurse, we ask ourselves, what were the possibilities if we hadn't struggled? Indeed, what potential do we lose when we don't properly fund public education and provide the supports needed to families and children who struggle? Eventually, through my mother's resourcefulness and volunteerism, we moved into an affordable housing co-op, of which I later became treasurer. Not worrying about how to pay our rent opened up new possibilities. Post-secondary then became plausible, and our horizons expanded. I became a designer by trade and worked in the northeast and southeast industrial areas of Calgary when we still had factories. The women on the sewing floor were my busmates. They told me their stories as immigrant women and how their work was always for the betterment of the next generation. Through those friendships, I developed a passion for the protection of workers' rights, knowing that these hard-working women needed safe working conditions to do their highly skilled work so that their hopes and dreams for their families could be fulfilled. Throughout my life, I have volunteered for many causes and organizations. While my work as an apparel professional was exciting, I always felt the pull to be one of the helpers if I could. And after 44 years of conservative governments in this province, I saw that the most vulnerable were not being served by policies that ignored their needs or made matters worse. The volunteer work eventually led to my work in constituency offices. After we celebrated, After we celebrated the wins of an NDP government led by the member for Edmonton Strathcona. Under her leadership, we reduced child poverty by 50%. We increased the minimum wage, which was the lowest in Canada at the time, and increased the economic participation of women by creating low-cost childcare. Through this work, I was able to advocate for everyday Albertans as they navigated government systems to get the help they needed. Sadly, under this government, there are more vulnerable folks. Their human rights are rolled back, questioned, and even ignored. We have more people on the cusp of houselessness or already houseless, unable to pay the bills, even as they hold up to 3 jobs. I hear a lot about our prosperity in this province, but have not seen that translate into ensuring that all Albertans can meet their basic needs and live in dignity. I am here to advocate for better. Albertans deserve better. Throughout my life, I've been very fortunate to work and live within the constituency of Calgary-Klein. I attended Collingwood and Colonel Irvin schools. I lived in Thorncliffe as a teen. I worked in Vista Heights and have had many life-defining moments in the neighborhoods there. And now I'm very proud to be representing these places and all the people who live in them as their MLA. Thank you, Madam Speaker.